He did it. He being Anthony Joshua. He went in against the late replacement for Dillian Whyte last weekend, Robert Helenius, and he won it. There was some boos inside the O2, but he got there in the end. A vicious hook in the 7th round of the fight. The punch knocked Helenius to the floor, and that was that. Joshua, sort of tongue-in-cheek, had something to say post-fight.
Man, people need to leave me alone. I'll do what I want. This is my time in this ring. People need to let me breathe a bit and let me keep on doing what I do. But listen, I don't want to say too much, but I just want to thank everyone, really, and I hope I can see you again, hopefully 2 more times this year, because I do need to stay busy. I need to keep on building, keep on building, keep on building. I've been off for too long. But Eddie, thank you as well. The Zone, thank you. Ade, I'm going to shoot. I want to spend some time with the supporters.
One more, very quickly, Adrian, just one more, just before you go. A lot of the supporters do want to know, including myself as well, what next? There has been a lot of talk. You wouldn't let me ask you in the build-up about a certain Deontay Wilder. I can ask you that question now about Wilder. What can you say?
My back. My back's... Is there a doctor in here? My back's gone.
Your back is okay.
I'm about to carry this heavyweight division to the top.
Okay, so that was AJ quite rightly having a bit of fun in the ring after he'd beaten Helenius. But how do you look back in it now, Spencer? Now a few days has passed, because many people were saying, rightly or wrongly, this guy's got to show us what he can do. He needs to put Helenius away, quick style. That didn't happen.
Listen, I think it's unfair criticism towards AJ, if I'm totally honest. It was all about the rebuilding of Anthony Joshua, rebuilding of Anthony Joshua's confidence. And I think he got that out of that knockout. It was a show-reel knockout in the 7th round, right hand, straight through the middle. And that's what he needed, Jim, before he goes into these big fights. Deontay Wilder is talked about, looks likely for January time. So, look, I was happy and satisfied with the performance. I know that the crowd there were booing and they wanted more sooner, but... like Anthony Joshua said, listen, he's got that experience now and he knows when the time's right and he knows when he needs to step in with his shots. He wasn't stepping in with his shots when it first started out, but as the fight was unfolding, he was controlling the space and he was growing in confidence. So he got what he needed from the fight and from the performance. And yeah, I was satisfied and I thought it was an unbelievable knockout and it's something that he needed.
I was surprised at your approach to it, Simon, that, come on, everybody's got to get off Joshua's case here, give the guy a break. You were cutting him a bit of slack at the start of the week. You still feel that way?
Look, I mean, I think ultimately the fact is that he won the fight. He knocked the fella out. The fella came to fight in a slightly different way than he fought Deontay Wilder. If you want to judge him by Deontay Wilder's standards and the fact that the guy put his chin out and Deontay Wilder detonated on it in the first round and got him out in the first round, whereas Anthony Joshua's experience was slightly different. Do I think Anthony Joshua should have got to him earlier? Yeah, of course I do. I think he should have got to him inside 3 or 4 rounds. The fact that he didn't, I don't think is defining. He's not going to have the same luxuries with Deontay Wilder as he had with Robert Helenius. But also on the other side of the argument, Deontay Wilder is no, prize fighter of the highest caliber. He's won the world title. He's a compelling fighter in fights that he's had with Tyson Fury. He will be an irresistible fight between the two of them. He's also damaged goods. He's also been vanquished 3 times by Tyson Fury, and we know the first one was a draw, but let's all have it right. Tyson Fury beat him on the first fight as well. So he comes in with demons in the back of his mind. He knows what it's like to get hit and hurt and knocked down. And Joshua, I believe, hits harder than Fury. The challenge for me always remains the same. No one disputes the physicality of Anthony Joshua. No one denies the fact that Anthony Joshua has enough power to do what he did to Robert Helenius to anybody in the world. The question remains, will he have the mental strength to do that? He can have as many fights as he wants now. Yeah. The bottom line is he needs to go in against Wilder, and we will see if he's capable of fight or if he wants to get involved with flight.
That's what I think he needed to take from that fight, was that show-reel knockout, and that was, whether it came in the 3rd round, the 7th round, or whatever it was about installing that confidence in his own ability, and I think that's what he's got. That's what he takes from that, and forget another fight before the Deontay Wilder one. For me, go in there January. You've had your time now. You've had your couple of warm-up fights with Franklin, and then last time out against Helenius. Let's go. I think that we need these fights now.
He's at a point now where the background noise has to stop for him. And the background noise will never stop because he courts it and he garners it and gains it by being the front of people's attentions. I think the sort of jokey comment he makes about carrying the heavyweight division on his back, I think that's something that he shouldn't have said. Someone else should say on his behalf. Because ultimately there's a fight going on in Poland where Daniel Dubois is fighting Usyk. And I don't think it's true to say that he's carrying the heavyweight division because
You don't think there's any truth in it?
No, of course not. He's fighting Robert Helenius. He's fought Jermaine
I think it's more
Franklin.
about emotions running high and
I think
whatnot.
that's him just being excited.
If Fury's fighting an MMA guy.
There's nothing to admire about that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm in that camp. But I also think now that I do feel slightly sorry for Anthony Joshua because I do think he doesn't know whether he's Arthur or Martha sometimes. And I think there's so many people telling him how to fight and which way he should fight. And I worry that all the additions to his style have subtracted away from what he really was, which is somebody that goes in and knocks people out.
Even if he now fights Wilder, as we're suggesting at the turn of the year, Frank 1-for-1, maybe predictably, because he doesn't promote Joshua, is saying, look, Tyson's beaten Wilder 3 times. So if Joshua beats Wilder, if he does, and I don't think he will, then so what?
Yeah, well, listen.
So he's saying even if he beats him, so what?
Well, listen, no, that's not the case. It's all about eras and legacies, etc., etc. And because Tyson Fury's beaten him 3 times, and he's got a lot of flaws in what he does, Deontay Wilder, but it only takes 2 seconds of a 12-round fight with Deontay Wilder, and he's only got to land a half clean shot to knock someone out. Tyson Fury controlled it. He showed the blueprint on how to beat him. Where you've got to be aggressive against him, but it's got to be educated pressure. He's got to work everything off his jab. Let Wilder go round the sides with them wild shots, because technically, as Simon says, he's not the best out there. He's one of the worst out there actually technically, but he's just so heavy-handed. And I think there's a great opportunity now, a great chance for with Anthony Joshua, where he's just come from. I think the public actually needs to get off his back a little bit and start supporting him for what he's achieved so far, and and what he's doing in the future.
You're wearing your Anthony Joshua fanboy T-shirt, Spencer. How does this work out when he goes in with Wilder?
I think that's what he needed there, what he got against Helenius on Saturday night, and I think that if he tactically gets it right, I think he wins the fight. I think he needed that added confidence from that, and me and Simon were talking about it earlier on in the week. That it sort of changed Simon's views on it a little bit more as well. He says, listen, I think that's what Anthony Joshua needs, and I agree.
No doubt about it.
I just think that he's got a massive chance in that.
Now, this idea that he's going to get anything more from beating people that he should beat, right? He's not going to give him confidence. He's either going to get in. He's got to get in with Deontay Wilder, and it will come out the mix. For me, I made Wilder a wider percentage of victory. I would like. This is a done deal. The moment Wilder goes in that ring and detonates on Anthony Joshua, he's going to go. Right? I think it's slightly narrowed because I'm not as enamoured. I've built this image in my mind of Deontay Wilder, and yes, he can whack a bit, and yes, of course, he's still prepared to whack. And there's a question about Anthony Joshua being prepared to whack, and that's Anthony Joshua's biggest benefit, not his boxing ability, his ability to hit people and send them to sleep. The bottom line is I think the gap is slightly narrower. I still think Deontay Wilder wins. I think he wins, but I don't think in my mind's eye, 2 or 3 months ago, it's done deal. I don't even consider Anthony Joshua having that much of a chance. I think it's probably nearer 60-40 in favour of Wilder. I still think Wilder wins, but I don't think the background noise. We've got to stop this nonsense about how many fights he's had, how short his amateur career was, because he's now fought. He's been at the top of the division. He's been a heavyweight champion of the world for 3 or 4 years. He's fought some of the best fighters around, albeit I don't think they're generationally great fighters. It is now time to stop the narrative around the fact that he needs more fights and he needs to go in with Deontay Wilder and kill it and cure. And by the way, with Frank turning around and saying, so what? Frank damn well knows what so what means. It means if Joshua beats Wilder, then there's going to be a fight of the financial magnitude that will be so significant that will be the what.
Well, yeah,
and then Garnu and the payday they're getting in Riyadh, which opens the doors to better relationships in Saudi, is one thing. Joshua fighting Fury in a meaningful fight where Joshua's back at the top table gets everybody, including Frank, paid.
And Jim, this may be a surprise to you, but I actually think that Anthony Joshua starts favourite going into that fight now off the back of that performance. And I think it's probably 60-40 that way for Anthony Joshua. And the reason I say this, the reason I say this, not because I'm wearing the fanboy T-shirt or anything like that. Okay. I just think that he's got what he needs to take from that fight. He knows that he's got to go in there and he's got to be educated pressure and whatnot. But I just think that he's too reckless, and he's damaged as well. Don't forget Deontay Wilder. Yeah. He is damaged as well, and I just think that he's too reckless. Joshua throws shots straight through the middle, and I think he'll just nail him like he did with Helenius with a right hand. He steps in and boom, lights out.
No one's asked Anthony Joshua in the last 2 fights any questions. Helenius didn't ask him any questions.
When are we talking about Joshua Wilder?
January.
I think.
I believe so. Yeah, I think that Joshua ideally would like it in December. From what Eddie's been saying, it looks more likely in
a great fight,
January.
Jim. I'm telling you, that'll be a great fight, and it will get people excited. It'll get people a damn sight more excited than a WBC champion of the world fighting an MMA fighter.
Yeah. Where will it be?
Where will it be?
Yeah.
It will be in Saudi, won't it?
Yeah.
Looks that way.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll be there. We'll see. Coming up to 12:20.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.